You're a good man. I'll love you forever.
Why are you being weird?
I want you to take me out.
And what was the food like?
Like really fancy fruit. Come on.
What?
Eat, please. You know, like lychee.
Yeah, okay, fair. Fancy fruit. What else?
Grilled octopus.
And what was the weather like?
So warm that you could sit outside and you could smell all the food cooking on the grill and smell the salt water coming from the sea.
There's just no way that I'm going to leave you on your own for 2 days. I'm
Thing
sorry.
is, I want you to.
What if something happens to you?
It wouldn't be your fault.
Rose?
Help me!
I found someone. It's a girl.
Oh my God.
We need to get rid of her.
Why do you live like this? The windows, the lights, the traps. Rose, why you go outside?
Rose?
And what did we have for dessert?
I was thinking that maybe you can introduce yourself, just say a few words about how you started with your career as producers, and yeah, let's start it from there.
We
Sure.
had to tell this story in like unison or through contemporary dance.
Mhm.
I'm April Kelly.
I'm Sara Huxley.
Are you dancing with?
We're Mini Productions. Co-own a company together. April stalked me, and that's history.
Yeah, started in 2012. We were both at drama school. Started it when I was 21, met Sara a year later. Didn't really look back after that. And since then, we've created a slate of short films to hit the different festival circuits so we can work out what we like to shoot and what genre we like to do. Spoiler alert, every genre, apparently. And also build relationships with writers and directors, which is exactly what happened with Jen. We did a short film with Jen, and now we've done a feature.
That's great. Yeah. Wonderful. I was just, because yesterday I saw Rose, A Love Story. Congratulations on that. And thank you for agreeing to do that exclusive interview for Barnes Film Festival. So to crack things on, I wanted to ask, how did that story come about? What made you want to make that film? What made you want to produce Rose?
Well, so as April said, we did a whole bunch of we've done a whole bunch of shorts over the years, and we had one of our first ever shorts that we'd done entirely ourselves, the biggest budget we'd worked on many years ago, and it was at Aesthetica Film Festival, and we met Jennifer Sheridan at the festival and got on like a house on fire, and she sort of became a friend, really. We were always following her films and keeping each other updated on everyone's sort of like work updates and everything they were doing. And then we worked with her on a short that we filmed in a day for a bit of fun. And it was shortly after that I think Rose came along for her, and her agent Rob is part of the artist partnership, who also have the development partnership, and they've got a sort of double-edged agency where they represent talent and actors as well. So he approached Jen about Rose, and one of his other clients, Matt's repped by the artist partnership as well, and he wrote Rose. So it was kind of like that little group had formed with Sophie and Matt and Jen, and then Jen reached out to us and sort of said, I really love these girls to produce, and we'd done far too many shorts by then, so we were like itching to do a feature, but the right feature for our debut feature. And we read the script. It was honestly so easy to read, really exciting, such strong visuals and development of the characters, and we just jumped to the chance really from that moment on.
That's great. And are you both fans of horror films, the genre? Is that something appealing to both of you?
I get scared.
Sometimes I do.
Like, I have watched horror. I way prefer making horror than watching horror, and the reason is because then I know when the jumps are very scary. So I really enjoy watching our film with people because I'm like, oh, they're gonna jump at this bit. But I can't watch too much horror. But I have watched horror. April loves horror.
I love horror. Yeah, I love horror. I had a probably an unhealthy obsession with it when I was younger. I remember being quite young, and I'd like just bad parenting, just in general bad parenting. Tina Kelly, don't like your parenting. What happened was I'd get they would tell me little stories. So they told me about The Exorcist, and they told me about The Shining, and they told me about Blair Witch, and then they'd be like, "You're not old enough to watch that yet." And I'd be like, but then Blair Witch was my first experience of horror, and I just thought it was incredible. It was way ahead of its time. It created this viral sense before viral was a thing other than an infection, and then it just, well, then they did a sequel which was pants, but no, everything from Blair Witch to Jeepers Creepers to House of Wax to Insidious, which is a better one, and then you've got The Purge, and
I have watched A Quiet Place. I managed to watch that. And that is fantastic. And I really enjoyed that.
That's a great example of that bridging the gap of two genres, and similar to Rose. It is obviously a terrifying thing, but it's that family. You're invested in the family.
But also the environment that they're in. And that's what we got from Rose in the original script, but now as well, like the environment is its own character, like the location is its own character, and that's what was so exciting, finding the location that we shot in for Rose, because it's like it was a whole, you know, it felt like it was a major part of the film, and getting that right made all the tension even more, and made those characters more on edge and the audience more on edge.
That was exactly my second question. I wanted to ask you about where you shot the film. It looks fabulous, and I just
shout out to Mary at Trawlham Cottages. Can't even say it's Welsh. Trawlham Cottages, Trawlham Forest Cottages. They were amazing. They had 200 acres of private woodland. It started with a Google of private woodland with holiday cottages, and then a recce around like Shropshire in Wales, because my family are all from Shropshire, and I was like, right, we haven't got any budget, how many favours can I call in locally from like vans and my dad driving trailers and just all that stuff. So we were right on the border of Shropshire, Wales, and then we went further into Beulah, and we actually filmed, they're in mid Wales. Their forest is incredible, and I mean, what we paid was just crazily kind from them. But we all lived there. We just booked out essentially all of the cottages. We lived on site. We formed a little family, little bubble for a few weeks. And yeah, it was amazing. And we couldn't have done it without their location and all of their help and from the team there. It was like a really special place to be. Although we did get completely snowed in, so... which wasn't their fault, it was our fault for choosing such a ridiculous location, but it looked great.
I wonder if we can convince anyone that interviews us that we plan the snow, like it's all fake. Like, that's fake, you know, it's where most of the budget went. Yeah, VFX, yeah.
It's very real. We felt it.
And yeah, I read somewhere that you completed the shooting last year in January, so that's straight before the lockdown and the COVID situation. Did that impact your prediction at all?
Well, what we know now is that Matt can predict the future, so that's handy.
This was 2019 when we all thought
life was going to be fine.
Yeah, we were like, this is great. We actually finished the film completely, post and everything, in March, and then we finished it and it all kicked off. And there was a conversation about trying to get it released sooner rather than later, but ultimately Sarah and I were just like, we do not want to capitalize on this. We also don't want to be seen as someone that made a film during lockdown. But no, it's kind of scary. But I mean,
pure coincidence, just pure coincidence. And we say, even the language of using isolation, bubble, you know, like all that sort of stuff, it's like, we hadn't even thought about it or talked about it when we were shooting. And now, even last night when we all watched it together, April and I and Jen and Martina, the DOP, it was like, whoa, this is like a whole other layer, because people are watching this, knowing what we've been through over the past few months, understanding what social distancing is, understanding what a virus is, and kind of being scared of the outside world and being in that sort of bubble and isolation. And there are scenes where even when Amber, the sort of third character, walks in, that like I just took differently now, because you're suddenly more on edge, like, is she bringing in a virus? Where's she come from? And we just didn't have that collective experience until now. So it's probably made it more tense, which is probably good for us in the end, but not planned.
Right. And how do you think the audience reacted to it? Do you have any response from friends or fellow filmmakers?
You take this away. She's the marketing and social queen. She's all over it.
We're very lucky. We've got a great PR company called Strike Media. It was one of the biggest things that if we weren't going to attach a sales agent in time for LFF, we needed to attach a PR company to make the most of this, because despite the contacts Sarah and I have, it's just a different skill, and really needs 24/7. So what happened last night was we knew loads of people had reviews in embargo, and I'd been keeping track and had a spreadsheet and whatever. And I didn't quite realise the volume of social media. So I was on Twitter seeing it all come through live, and it was like, whoa. And I think at that point, we made a joke, or I made a joke, not a good joke, but it felt like the opening of a play. I was unnecessarily nervous, as if one of them were going to forget their lines or something. Yeah. And then what you didn't realise is, because when you do short films, you've got to be pretty mean to be negative about a short film, because everyone's just trying to do their best. And then I was like, oh, this could not go down well. Like,
yeah, I was like, what if people hate it?
Yeah. And then it just was like so much love.
Yeah.
And the kind of love where they're really picking out small bits, or they're comparing it to imagery that we never even thought of. There were some funny negative reviews, which just made us laugh. And I didn't expect that. It just really made us laugh.
Yeah. It's the whole journey. And also you're so close to the film, and it's quite scary showing it to like your friends and your family, because they just know that you disappeared to Wales for a month and like were quite stressed for a bit. Then you're like, oh, I made a film. Oh, I hope you think it's good. It's really awkward if you don't. And so that's why we didn't actually watch it with all of our friends. All of our friends watched it separately.
Yeah, we're quite great.
Like, let's just watch, and then we'll be on Twitter and have a little look and see what people think.
I'm sure they loved it. So yeah, I was also wondering, how were you involved before with Barnes Film Festival? I know that there was a film called Trickle, the one that April was starring in, and also wrote, I believe. So if you want to talk a bit more about your BFF experience.
Actually, I think initially Barnes and Mickey, I think it must have been Mickey, not Sam, reached out to myself, because they were getting queer filmmakers in for a queer night, which was the first time that Barnes had ever done something like that, like an LGBTQ+ event. And they pulled in a few of us who were part of the BFI Flair mentorship and stuff like that. So came along to do that. Yes, I am getting this right. And then had a wonderful evening, did Q&A, we watched some clips, we all chatted. And then Treacle had done, this is a really good story, April.
Really, I mean, I'm listening.
Thank you, riveting. Okay, long story short, it wasn't part of the festival, but you guys were kind enough to put on a special screening of it. So it overall, in terms of my queerness and Treacle, you've been massive supports, and you've been following us since, and you really, guys, you've championed us. And it's,
shout out to Barnes Film Festival.
Yeah.
Appreciate the love.
The cinema there is beautiful.
Yeah, that's true. Nice and cozy. I was wondering, do you have like a piece of advice for future generations of filmmakers who are just at the outset of their producing career or filmmaking career in general? What is the best thing that you think a filmmaker needs to know for sure?
Mine is always be humble, and we did so much work for free over the years, because the people that you work with when you're building up your skills and your experience, like, they can go on to be really successful, amazing filmmakers. So being humble and being kind when you work, because it's really tough, and just keep going. Like, if you really want to do it, just keep going, because it's not easy and it doesn't come quickly. And there are so many times when April and I have worked really hard to try and get something, whether that's a grant or some funding or like financing or like recognition or whatever you work towards, whatever your kind of project is. And so many times we've been told no. Even April with the Flair mentorships, like, applied and then applied again, and we do it with our applications. It's like you apply and you apply again, and people don't see that. They just go, oh, they got that thing, and they don't see the years that you keep going. So
yeah, I always say, if we can do it, you can do it too. It's not, there's no level of intelligence, trust me. I never passed my maths GCSE.
April.
Sarah's very academic.
Yeah, but I can't do social media or any marketing, and here I'm like
put it this way, yeah, like I said, if we can do it, you can too. And when this all started and I was 21, I went and asked the financial directors of film companies for a meeting, because no one ever wants to talk to them, but also they have the most insight usually. And so my advice would be, go and ask for meetings, don't ask for something. Go there, be present, ask them questions, but don't actually ask them to do something. And when you try and get that meeting, say, could I just take 10 minutes of your time to buy you a coffee? 10 minutes always turns into 45. And because we're British, at the end of every meeting, that person will go, look, if you ever need anything, just let me know. Then in 5 years, you can ask them for something.
Or maybe 10. So anyone out there who we've, April had a coffee with 5 years ago, just wait.
Oh, that's great. And on that note, what is like the worst advice that you've been given, if any?
I think, you know what? I think sometimes, I can't give an exact example of bad advice. I just think sometimes, especially when we're younger and less experienced and a bit naive, and you're just sort of, not that we're naive, but you just learn these things. You got to learn through experience. So kind of people tell you things and you kind of think it's the best thing to do without finding it out yourself. And so sometimes we've just had some piece of advice and then like gone off in a direction, and it's kind of been a lot of spent energy, because you just think that's what you need to do, rather than taking the time or really collecting lots of thoughts. But it's ultimately down to you. Like, you've got to have fair judgment. And I think sometimes we've listened to people you know what I mean, Apes? It's like you've listened to people and followed them because you sort of put them on a pedestal, and then actually you should have just really listened to your gut. So
Yeah.
it's not a specific experience, but it's more just feeling really grounded and not getting, you know, thinking about what you really want to do and where you think that you should go.
That's happened recently. That's happened the more and more, especially in the last year or so, when Sarah and I haven't trusted our gut, and actually we've spoken things through and go, oh no, they probably know better, and then we're like, oh, we had it. We didn't need to do that. Just jump. I don't know. Best advice, I think. God, I've never been asked that question.
Oh, right.
I really wanted to ask you something.
Great question. We're stumped.
Yeah, it's more. It's when we went into meetings at the age of 21 to 25, and we managed to chat our way into a meeting, which they were happy to take, and then usually they would just kind of humour us, and I think that could be really disheartening. So that's not advice, that's just people being mean. I have nothing.
But every now and again there was a great meeting and it actually came to something, so you know, we lucked out in the end.
Yeah.
Great. And what about upcoming projects? Have you thought about what's next for Mini Productions?
Oh yeah, I mean, if anybody out there wants to give us any money, we've got we have got, so we love doing shorts. We've got 2 more shorts on our slate that are just very close to our heart that April's written, and we also have 2 features that are that we've already shot short film concepts with, or already worked like with the directors, so it's like a nice stepping stone, and they're quite fully, like, far along in the development, those features. Like the scripts are really quite developed, and there's cast attached to some of them, so like they're our biggies really, and we're really excited about them. It's just like, when are we going to shoot them? When is anyone going to give us any money in COVID? But you know, we're just plowing on with them because we love doing it, and we were saying just last night, we've learned so much from doing Rose, so it's like, oh, what we'll take on to this next feature. Can't wait.
Can't wait to see it too. Great. Thank you very much for those inspiring words. I think that a lot of the filmmakers that are just starting now will be super excited and inspired by everything you said. Thanks for your time, and I'm looking forward to chatting again with you.
Definitely.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it, and thank you to the festival for all your support.
Yeah. Send Sam our love.
Yeah.